probably light years offensively for sure. I think special teams in the kicking game were a lot better. Defensively should be the same or better, and because of the way we're playing. But I think two phases, having no preseason games and going into the first week, making some mistakes we shouldn't make on offense and turning the ball over, and then the couple of fiascos in the kicking game. So I think we're a different ball club now.
And you made mention of something yesterday. There is nothing normal about this football season, right? The way you guys are playing it with COVID and all of that. But particularly when you go to these stadiums where there are no fans, the ability to sort of start fast and generate that energy. Can you speak more to that? As whether or not, and we saw it in Chicago a little bit in the first week against the Saints and so forth.
Yeah, I think when you're on prime time, especially, you expect to come to the stadium and have a ton of energy in the stadium from the fans and everything else. So this year is just so different to sit around and then get there, and it's like, is the stadium really even open? Because the lights are on, but anyway, there. And so you got to bring your own energy. And we did not do a good job in either game handling. Both those teams came out with tempo, and the communication was not good handling that tempo in that ball game, in either one of those ball games to start the game.
Thanks.
Next question will come from Ira Kaufman.
Bruce, last night's game, was it kind of like a rite of passage for every time for a very good football team that plays well below its capabilities, but still walks out of there with a victory? I mean, is that something all good teams have to go through? Yeah,
I think they like I've always said, you learn a hell of a lot more by almost losing than you do by losing. And we learned a lot in Chicago by losing, but I think we found a few things about ourselves that now that we won a ball game like that, and it wasn't our best execution.
And what did Todd Bowles, Bruce? What are some of the adjustments Bowles made in the second half?
Just do your job. Do your job. Execute with better energy. And I thought our guys played with a little better pad level in the second half against the run and our pass rush. He dialed up some stuff and got them going. We still didn't make a couple plays that we normally make. We drop a big interception there in that last drive that should have never gotten to the touchdown.
Thanks, Bruce.
Next, we'll go to Jenna Lane.
Hey, Coach. I know this week is going to be the first time that Antonio Brown will be able to practice on the field with his new teammates. I was just watching his last game that he played with the Patriots. Very, very versatile player. So it seems like he could help your offense out in a lot of different areas. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on where you think he can help the most.
Well, just being an explosive player with the ball in his hands, and he'll have a role, and we'll see how much we can get him taught. And the first practice will be a walkthrough because we've got a short week coming off Monday night, so we basically miss a practice this week on Wednesdays because of the short week. So it'll be a walkthrough practice and basically all learning.
And as somebody that has a prior relationship already with him and a strong familiarity with him, what is it that you think that he needs the most from you guys to be able to get himself back on track?
Are you talking on the field or off the field?
On the field and off the field.
Well, he has to handle his own business off the field. On the field, just find your role, accept it, embrace it, and make sure you're making the right plays, and we'll get you the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
Next, we'll go to Greg Allman.
Hey, Bruce, you guys made a switch at corner, kind of Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting switching roles in terms of who's out there every down on defense. I just want to ask you what led to that and how you think it went for the two of them last night.
I thought Sean, obviously the interception was huge, and he played his normal nickel role. We expected them to be a little more three wideouts, and instead they played us like some other teams with a lot of tight ends. So Jamel's been playing very well. So we put him in the base package. It was a good matchup for us against these guys. And then Sean stayed in nickel. But, we're very blessed to have three good corners. And it's not like Sean lost his job. It's just we went with Jamel in the base package.
And then with Antonio coming back, you kind of have to reallot your offensive depth in the skill positions. I just want to ask you, this was the second week in a row that you only used two backs on offense. And just want to ask you if you could go with three or only dress three, or where you're most likely to trim if you need to lose a spot.
I think each and every, is it four tight ends? Is it six receivers? Is it four running backs, three backs? That's a chess match every week when we put it all together, and we see from there. Again, special teams, if there's roles for guys there, that always trumps everything.
Thanks, Bruce.
Next, we'll go to Sarah Walsh.
Hey, Bruce, what would be, do you go into this game Sunday, like what would be your realistic expectations for Antonio on the field? Is there a snap count situation? Like what would you realistically expect out of him?
Yeah, it really depends how the game goes. If we're successful with the package that we put him in, we'll probably run it more. He'll have his role, and it could be 10 plays. It could be 35 plays. I wouldn't anticipate 60 plays for sure, but, we'll just see how it goes.
Next, we'll go to Joey Knight.
Coach, after the game last night, Mike Evans said he feels very close back to 100%. Based on what you saw, does he appear to be getting back to that level?
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, I saw it last Thursday in practice, and he made a couple cuts on that ankle that he's kind of been limping on that one, and he's made real hard cuts on it. So, yeah, I think Mike's really, really close to 100 now.
And Ryan Suckup has given you some stability at a position that this franchise hasn't had in a while. Can you speak to that?
Don't jinx him, brother. But he has, and we're putting him in position where he's very, very comfortable too, and inside that 45 range.
Next, we'll go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Bruce, you guys are second in the league in scoring, I think, with 247 points, but a lot of really potential good drives have stalled on third down. Is that one area that you really feel needs to improve for you to compete against, the elite teams in this league?
Yeah, I think so. Each game's so different. I think our explosive plays lead to more touchdowns. But our third down conversions in this ball game, obviously, were not very good, and we had some potential guys open. We just didn't make the plays. So, but I think it's been really solid. We've been in the 50% range for 3 or 4 weeks until last night.
Not having Chris Godwin, was that some of the problems maybe in the first half? It looked like there was a lot of good coverage by the Giants where Tom was not being able to find anybody downfield early on.
I think there were 2 coverage sacks, but there were guys open. We just got to do a better job of deciphering what we're seeing and getting the ball to the guys. And again, I thought Jaden Mickens played really, really well for us, but it's not having Chris in there when you're used to it. But he does practice. Tom practices a lot with Jaden, so that didn't surprise me. But our third down conversion rate last night was not what we anticipate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we'll go to Scott Reynolds.
Hey, Bruce, your turnovers on offense are down substantially this year, especially the interceptions, but also fumbles. And it seems like you've got penalties under control, 3 for 20 last night. As a coach, how proud are you of your team for playing more disciplined football? I know that's something you've been fighting for since you arrived last year.
Yeah, I think the players took it upon themselves after the Chicago game that they were going to quit beating themselves basically and make other teams try to beat us. So yeah, it's rewarding, but we got a long way to go. We got to stay that way. And I think knowing what to do, how to do it is a big part of it. So practicing at a high level, not seeing penalties in practice, not seeing balls potentially turned over in practice. So that's a big part of it.
And I'm sure you're aware Mike Evans tied with Randy Moss for the 6th consecutive 1,000-yard season, start a career. He's not on pace to hit 1,000 yards this year, and the addition of AB probably diminishes that even further. But yet Mike welcomed the addition of AB. What does that say about Mike Evans' selflessness and team first attitude and just wanting to win.
I think that's always been Mike, and I praise him for it all the time. That whole receiver room it's about we, not me, and it just you never know. Adding AB could open up a lot of things for Mike because he's been getting double covered a ton, and last night we put him inside a lot, and he did a really good job. Could have had a few more targets, but getting Chris healthy, bringing Antonio in could really help Mike.
Thanks, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we'll go to Rick Stroud.
Bruce, Tom has acknowledged that, at least in the short term, he's had Antonio live with him. I mean, in his home, right, until he finds a place. Was that something he offered? And does that just show an extra level of accountability that Tom has to try to make this work?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for him, but I think he's publicly talked about, trying to help a teammate, doing whatever it takes to get them comfortable so they can focus on football. And that's Tom. He's the ultimate teammate.
We have time for a couple more. First, we'll go to Ira Kaufman.
Bruce, in the tradition of the Roger Craigs, the Marshall Faulks, here comes Kamara. Bruce, you're well familiar with them. You did a pretty good job with him week one. I think he scored twice, but he wasn't a dominant factor. What makes guys like that so difficult on those swing passes, Bruce, and how good is Kamara at it?
Yeah, I coach Marshall Faulk, and this guy's scarier. He has great speed. He's got great hands. He's got wide receiver skills, but he's a hell of a running back, and he's a tough tackle. So yeah, I thought in the first ball game we did a good job, but he's expanded his role. Drew is really doing a nice job of finding him in the passing game, and Sean's putting him in position to be successful. So we got our hands full. Hopefully we can do as good a job this time.
And last question will come from Sarah Walsh.
Bruce, speaking of hands full, Drew Brees, obviously one of those guys like Tom, like there's just not a lot you're going to throw at him that he hasn't seen before in this league. So given his skill set and that experience, what can you do to disrupt somebody like him?
Knock him down a few times. And that always helps. None of them, especially the older guys, they don't like getting knocked down. So we got to pressure him, get him off his spot and have really good tight coverage.
All right. That's all we have time for. Appreciate the time, Coach.
Thank you, guys.